Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, going to be talking through some player props I like on Prizepicks for the Week 5 NFL slate. Got 3 picks that we're going to give out in this video, and as always guys, we're going to break down these 3 plays and we're going to share why I like them. Now, before we do get started, make sure that you guys hit that like button down below if you enjoy these Prizepicks videos. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button as well, and if you guys are new to the channel and if you are new to Prizepicks, if you don't have a Prizepicks account, make sure that you go sign up, use that promo code NOAH. When you do sign up for Prizepicks with my promo code and play $5, you're going to get $50 worth of free lineups, again, just for signing up and using code NOAH. And then also, do want to give a quick shout out to Sleeper because we are partnered with Sleeper as well. You guys can go sign up for Sleeper. Use promo code NOAH over there. You'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. And as well, Sleeper is going to give you a free $20 entry. So if you look to my left over here, free $20 entry just for signing up and using code NOAH. And you don't have to make a deposit to get that free entry. So you just make an account, you download the Sleeper app, use code NOAH when you sign up, and your account will automatically have a free $20 entry that you can use and hopefully win some money off of. So Sleeper is really trying to get new users in. They're obviously giving you a way to play on their app without even having to put any money in. Get that free $20 entry while it's available. I don't know how long they're going to do this promotion. This might be for a limited time. It might be permanent. I really don't know, but Sleeper did announce this new promotion. They want us to put it out there for you guys, and it's a way for you guys to be able to try out the Sleeper app without even having to put any money in. But you will still get that deposit bonus if you do decide to deposit. So definitely, again, check out Sleeper. If you guys don't have an account over there, use that code NOAH when you sign up. But let's talk about some Prizepicks plays I do like for this Week 5 slate, guys. Now, I want to recap our plays from our video last week, from last Sunday for Week 4. We gave out 3 picks last week. One of our picks did get voided, the touchdown combo that we gave out. I talked about that prop being an error prop last week, and it actually was. Prizepicks wound up taking that prop off the board. They actually voided the play. So all the lineups I had with that prop, I didn't even get paid out because the play got voided, which is so annoying. So we gave out 3 picks last week. One of our picks was a voided prop. The other 2 picks we gave out went 1-1. Hit on Drake London over 5.5 receptions, but missed on Christian Kirk over 5.5 targets. So kind of frustrating last week. Gave out 3 plays, 1 voided, which should have hit, but it voided. And then we gave out 2 more plays, 1-1. But before that, we had gone 2 weeks in a row going 3-0. So we were 3-0, 3-0, and then last week 1-1. So let's see if we can bounce back here for this Week 5 slate, guys. And again, I got 3 picks for this week. Let's go ahead and break them down. So the first prop that I like this week is going to be a prop on Rico Dowdle. And I'm liking Rico Dowdle for more than 60.5 rush yards. So if you look at Rico Dowdle's prop lines this week, a lot of his lines are much higher than what we've seen them be at this season. And that's because the Panthers are going to be without Chuba Hubbard this week. Chuba Hubbard is the starting running back, but he has already been ruled out for this game. So with Chuba Hubbard out, Rico Dowdle is expected to step in, fill in as the starter, and he should get a lot of opportunity here. You look at the competition for touches behind Rico Dowdle. The guy that's most likely going to back up Dowdle is Trevor Etienne, Travis Etienne's brother. And so far this season, Trevor Etienne has not really gotten many touches at all. He did get 7 carries last week, but a lot of those carries I want to say came in garbage time when the game was out of hand. You look last week, the Panthers lost by 29 points to the Patriots. And Etienne got 7 carries, but again, I think a lot of those came in the fourth quarter when the game was really out of hand. So far this season, you take out that game, and really Etienne's only had 2 touches. He got 1 carry against Jacksonville. He had 1 catch against Arizona. So he's really not been involved much at all, whereas Dowdle has been backing up Chuba Hubbard all season. And Dowdle is an experienced NFL running back. He was actually, last season on the Cowboys, he was actually pretty good. Ran for over 1,000 yards last year, averaged 4.6 yards per carry. Now, sure, playing for the Cowboys with that offensive line set up as a much better spot than this year playing for the Panthers. But this should be a pretty good matchup for Rico Dowdle. The Dolphins this year have been pretty bad against the run. Overall, they've had a bad defense, but their run defense has definitely been bad. They're top 10 in rush yards allowed per game to opposing running backs. They're allowing over 5 yards per carry. So this is definitely a matchup where Dowdle should be able to be efficient. It's also a spot where he projects to get a lot of volume. His rush attempts prop on Prizepicks right now is set at 16. So clearly the sportsbook, they're expecting Dowdle to get a good amount of carries here. If Dowdle gets 16 carries, he really only needs to average like 4 yards per carry. Honestly, he could average less than that and still go over this rush yards line. So really good spot here for Rico Dowdle. I think this just sets up as a good matchup, spot where you should get a lot of volume. And overall, I think there's a lot of boxes you can check in this matchup, in this spot for Rico Dowdle. So I like him for more than 60.5 rush yards. Next prop that I like is on Jonathan Taylor. So going to look at Jonathan Taylor's fantasy score line, 18.5, and I like the over here as well. So Jonathan Taylor this year has been one of the better fantasy running backs. You just look at what he's done this season against the Dolphins. Week 1, 12.8 fantasy points. Then against Denver, 29.5, 32.8 against the Titans. And then last week, 14.6 against the Rams. His role has just been so good. He's getting a ton of volume. He's had at least 20 touches in every single game this season. I would say the only other running back that's getting better volume right now than Jonathan Taylor is probably Christian McCaffrey. But other than Christian McCaffrey, like, Jonathan Taylor has one of the best roles in the NFL. His volume is so secure because you look at the other running backs for the Colts. I mean, the Colts don't really use any other running backs on their roster. Their backup running back is actually injured and not playing this week. Tyler Goodson, he's actually out. So it's most likely going to be DJ Giddens backing up Jonathan Taylor. And DJ Giddens so far this season has 13 touches, but 12 of his 13 touches came week 1 against the Dolphins in a blowout win. He got all those carries like in garbage time. So this just sets up as such a good spot for Jonathan Taylor to once again just get a ton of volume. He probably projects to get over 20 touches here. It's a good matchup, or I wouldn't say it's a great matchup against the Raiders. The Raiders have actually been decent against the run so far this year, but the spot overall sets up well for Taylor. The Colts are at home in the Dome, home favorites. Taylor typically does well in these spots when they're favored at home. He's historically had better splits at home as well, and it makes sense for Taylor to do better at home because he plays in a dome. Playing in a dome is always going to be a better environment than playing outdoors where there's weather concerns, stuff like that. You look at Taylor's splits, I think in his career he's averaged like 3 more fantasy points per game at home than he has on the road. Just a really good spot for Jonathan Taylor here. I think he's in line for a game where he just gets a ton of volume. And you look at his prop lines for this week, I mean, they're set really high for a reason. He's projected for 87.5 rush yards, 17.5 receiving yards. He's projected for over 100 total yards. And then he's projected to get about 2 to 3 catches. And then you have to factor in touchdown potential. I'm pretty sure Taylor has the shortest odds of any player this week to score a touchdown. I saw on DraftKings he's like minus 245 to score a touchdown. It's not a guarantee that he scores a touchdown, but if anybody has the best odds to score a touchdown this week, it looks like it's Jonathan Taylor. So you give me 100 total yards, a couple catches, and a touchdown, that's probably going to be enough for Jonathan Taylor to go over this fantasy score line, and I definitely think he can do that in the spot at home against the Raiders, where the Colts should be able to play with the lean on their run game, and just feed the ball to Jonathan Taylor because that's really what they want to do. And Taylor's obviously been very good in the role that he's had this season. So I do like Jonathan Taylor for more than 18.5 fantasy score. And then our last play is going to be on Ladd McConkey. So Ladd McConkey, looking at a couple of his prop lines, I think a lot of his lines are lower this week than what they normally would be at, just because McConkey has kind of had a slow start to the season. He did have a decent game against the Chiefs in their game in Brazil, that Friday night, the season opener. But then ever since then, pretty down game against the Raiders, down game against the Broncos. Last week against the Giants, only had 11 yards. Really just hasn't been involved, but I'm expecting McConkey to start getting involved at some point. I mean, coming into this season, McConkey was expected to be a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL, and so far this year, it's been Quentin Johnston getting a lot of the opportunity. Keenan Allen has come on and played a big role as well. But let's not forget that McConkey last season was one of the better receivers in the NFL. He was great as a rookie last year. People were expecting him to be even better this year. It's not really turned out that way, but this is still a player that throughout his career, in his NFL career, has been able to earn volume at a high rate. So I'm actually looking at his targets prop on Prizepicks this week, and I like more than 7 targets on Ladd McConkey. McConkey has pushed or gone over this line in 2 of their 4 games this year, whereas like his receiving yards, he's only gone over once. His receptions, he did push his receptions line in week 2. But the targets, he's been able to earn targets at a pretty decent rate. Like, even though the yards and the receptions haven't really been there, he's been getting targets. He had 9 targets against the Chiefs, 5 against the Raiders, 7 against Denver, and then 6 last week against the Giants. And one thing that I think works really well for McConkey here, this does set up as a pretty good spot against the Commanders. The Commanders' defense has been vulnerable, especially against the pass and especially against receivers who play out of the slot. And McConkey does run a lot of his routes out of the slot. I think he's running over half of his routes out of the slot this year, and that's where the Commanders have really been vulnerable. I know their slot cornerback, I want to say he's really struggled this season. So I think this is a really good spot for Ladd McConkey to get going, to kind of, I think this is a good opportunity to buy low on Ladd McConkey. Not saying this is going to be a game where he goes out there and, has a massive game, puts up 100 yards, multiple touchdowns. I'm not saying that, but I think this is definitely a spot where he's going to be able to earn targets. I think the matchup sets up really well for him. And the Chargers, they're throwing the ball a lot more this year. That's something that I've talked about. The Chargers, you look so far this season in terms of their pass rate, the Chargers have one of the highest pass rates. They actually lead the league in pass rate this season. So they're a team that's throwing the ball a lot more than we have historically seen them throw the ball. And if they're going to be throwing the ball more, obviously that's going to be better for Ladd McConkey to be able to earn targets, which throughout his NFL career, he's been able to earn targets at a really high rate. He was a high volume receiver last year. So far this season, the targets have been down a little bit, but I think this is definitely a spot where they can spike back up in a good matchup against a Commanders team that really struggles against slot receivers, which is where Ladd McConkey does run a lot of his routes. So like this is our third prop for Sunday, guys. Ladd McConkey more than 7 targets. So we got 3 plays here for this NFL slate on Sunday. Let's try and go 3-0 this week. I know last week was a little bit of a disappointment, but I'm liking to bounce back this week. Feel good about these plays. Hopefully we can go 3-0 and make some money this week. But as always, guys, appreciate you watching. Appreciate your support on these Prizepicks videos. Make sure that you hit that like button down below for me. Hit that subscribe button as well. And if you guys don't have an account on Prizepicks, go sign up. Use that promo code NOAH. Get those $50 in free lineups once you play your first $5 lineup on Prizepicks. But yeah, good luck this week, guys. Let's win some money, and I'll see you in the next video.